Once you understand this about your avoidant partner, you'll never get played again. The moment you truly understand this one truth about your avoidant partner, everything changes in how you see their behavior and how you respond to it. Most people think avoidants are confusing, unpredictable, or even manipulative, but the reality is much deeper and more psychological than that surface-level interpretation. An avoidant partner is not playing games in the way you think. They are protecting themselves from emotional overwhelm in a way that often ends up hurting you. What you need to understand is this: avoidants are not afraid of you. They are afraid of losing themselves inside the relationship. They associate closeness with pressure, expectations, and a subtle loss of control over their own emotional world. So when things start getting serious, when you get closer, more connected, and more invested, their nervous system begins to interpret that intimacy as a threat. This is why they pull away right when things seem to be going well, and why it feels so confusing and even painful for you. You think, if things are good, why are they distancing? But for them, good is exactly what triggers their fear. The closer you get, the more they feel like they are losing space, and that creates an internal panic. They don't always understand themselves. Now here is where most people get played without realizing it. When an avoidant pulls away, the natural reaction is to chase, to seek reassurance, and to try to fix the distance. But the more you chase, the more you confirm their fear that closeness equals pressure, and that pushes them even further away. This creates a cycle where they withdraw, you pursue, and the emotional imbalance grows stronger over time. Eventually, they come back when they feel safe again, when the pressure is gone, and when they miss your presence without the weight of expectations. And when they return, it feels like relief, like validation, like proof that the connection is real. But in reality, you are being conditioned into a loop where your emotional stability depends on their inconsistency. That's the part that feels like being played, even if it's not intentional on their side. You start accepting crumbs of attention because the absence felt so heavy that anything now feels like enough. Once you understand this pattern, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding strategically. You realize that chasing doesn't bring them closer. It actually reinforces the very behavior that is hurting you. And more importantly, you begin to see that their withdrawal is not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of their internal wiring. This is where your power begins to return. Instead of trying to prove your value, you start holding your value steady regardless of their behavior. Instead of over-explaining, over-giving, or over-investing, you become calm, grounded, and emotionally self-sufficient. And this shift changes everything. Because when an avoidant no longer feels chased, no longer feels pressured, and no longer senses emotional dependency, they begin to feel safe again. But this time, it's different. Because you are no longer losing yourself in the process. You are not waiting for them to validate you. You are not shrinking your needs just to keep them comfortable. And you are not confusing inconsistency with love anymore. You begin to set silent boundaries, not through words, but through your behavior. If they pull away, you don't chase, you give space without anxiety. If they come back, you don't overinvest, you stay balanced and observe their consistency. And this is the moment where the dynamic flips. Because now, instead of you trying to earn their attention, they start noticing your emotional stability. They feel the difference in your energy, and it creates curiosity, respect, and sometimes even a deeper attraction. But here's the most important part. You are no longer doing this to win them back or to make them act a certain way. You are doing this because you finally understand that your peace is more important than their unpredictability. And once you reach that level of awareness, you can no longer be played. Because you stop participating in the cycle that allowed it to happen in the first place. You stop confusing emotional highs and lows with genuine connection. You start asking better questions, like whether this relationship actually meets your needs, instead of how to keep it from falling apart. You start valuing consistency over intensity, and clarity over confusion. And most importantly, you stop abandoning yourself just to stay connected to someone else. Understanding an avoidant partner is not about fixing them or changing who they are. It's about recognizing their patterns without losing your own identity in the process. It's about knowing when to lean in and when to step back without fear controlling your decisions. Because the truth is, the moment you stop reacting to their distance with desperation, you break the cycle completely. And in that moment, whether they step closer or continue pulling away, you are no longer affected in the same way. You become steady, grounded, and emotionally independent. And that is something no avoidant can manipulate, no matter how unconscious their patterns may be. So once you truly understand this, you don't just protect yourself from being played. You elevate yourself to a level where only real, consistent, and emotionally available love can meet you.